Hi guys, it's Carissa and I am here to film my week 15 video with Normal. I almost can't even process that. I think it's week 15 still all the time. And I definitely can tell the time is going by faster now. It's also really hot right now, so I think I need to put my hair up. So week 15 felt like a small milestone, maybe not even a small one. For some reason, reaching week 15 felt really special, even though it doesn't really serve its own place as a milestone when you look at the weeks of pregnancy anyway. But I think it's just the fact that it's a multiple of 5 and it feels like it's a significant point before week 20. It felt really special to get to that point and almost kind of shocking. And the fact that I'm feeling like week 16 is going by as quickly as it is it's almost exhilarating and terrifying all at once, because you hear other women say that the second trimester flies by, but I guess you just don't really fully appreciate it until it starts happening to you. Normal, do you have to clean your toes right here? There were definitely a few things that seemed to shift when I went into week 15. I think I mentioned a few weeks back that I was feeling dizzy, and that went away pretty much that week. Sometimes I feel like all I have to do is mention that something's happening and it goes away by the next video. But a lot of the things that I had brought up before, like that phantom wetness I was experiencing, that was gone. The dizziness, the sudden headaches are still here, and the whooshing in my ears is still present. But something that I've been noticing since week 12 is that I get very tired. I was one of very few women who experience extra energy in the first trimester. And once week 12 hit, I don't know if it had to do with, to me, in my mind, it had to do with stopping all of those medications. It was like my body had to work that much harder to maintain the pregnancy, and that was what was so exhausting to me. I don't know if has any truth to it whatsoever, but I have just been a lot more tired. And I figure that's going to happen throughout the duration of my pregnancy, is that I will get more tired as things go. But it's both forms of tired. I feel sleepy, and I also feel run down. I feel physically exhausted. All it takes is about an hour of consistent physical activity, even if it's just walking, and I feel really, really tired. I feel like I could sleep. I feel like I need to lay down, and I'm trying to really listen to my body. I have never put my own feelings and needs first as quickly as I have been in the last couple of weeks. And I think that that's really powerful, because I'm the kind of person who really postpones things. I think I like to have a positive thing to look forward to, something good at the end of having other things that I don't care for as much, if that's making any sense to you. So say if I just have to pee, I will wait until the last possible second that I can even hold it anymore before I go. Or if I would feel tired, I'd keep going and keep doing whatever it was I needed to do before I sat down. It's almost like I would feel the need to really fully exert myself before I would be rewarded. And some of these things they were just basic human needs. It wasn't a reward at all, but that was just something that I had imposed on myself all my life, and I'm paying much more attention to that now. If I wake up before Mike, which doesn't happen often, but sometimes he'll wake up and he'll just sort of look at his phone and pet the dogs and relax and not actually get out of bed even though he's awake. And he can do that for up to an hour in the morning sometimes. That's just how he unwinds when he first wakes up and prepares for the day. Other times he gets up right away and goes and has his coffee, and he sort of has his quiet time on the couch. But if I ever wake up before him, I really used to try to just fall back asleep if I could, because if I had to pee and I got up, then the cats would hear me for sure, and they'd come screaming and screaming, and they wouldn't stop screaming for breakfast until one of us gets up. So now what I've done is I've said, screw it, I am not going to wait. I wake up with the angriest feeling bladder in the world. I can definitely tell there have been some physical changes there, because my bladder feels I haven't seen Inside Out, mainly because I'm afraid of how much it's going to make me cry. But the little red anger emotion person is what I picture my bladder to look like when I first wake up in the morning. So I've taken a really long time to explain to you that basically if I'm thirsty, I drink. If I'm tired, I sit or I sleep. If I have to pee, I do it right away, and I don't care about how many more times I may have to do that in the next hour. I take every opportunity that I have to make sure that anything that I need, I do. Something else that's been going on in week 15 and still currently in week 16, and I think I noticed it a little bit before, but it's really here now, are mood swings. And I really didn't think I'd be affected by that. I was sort of naive and thought that I was just going to be so happy that I'd never have a negative thing to say or a negative thought to think. But it catches me off guard. It's stuff that just happens. My mind just goes to this really bizarre, angry place, sometimes very quickly. I can tell sometimes it surprises Mike even, because it might not sound like it's me that's speaking to him. It might just be my angry bladder. But it's not me. It's the mood swing of doom, and it happens. And then I try and do a little bit of damage control after the fact, because sometimes I can say or do something like that around someone who's particularly sensitive to it, and it's not because I was trying to upset anyone or sound harsh. And sometimes I think the words that I'm saying, even if I feel like I'm being careful, sometimes the words I feel like I'm saying are okay, but maybe the tone comes off wrong. And it almost makes me feel like I just need to close myself in my home and not talk to anybody, because I really worry about that. And I guess I would think that it's not so bad, but I can see how other people react sometimes to the way that I'm speaking. I'm like, oh my gosh, I did it again. And it's not even, I can't even think of an example. Or one time, a couple days ago, I can't think of what it was I said, but Mike said something and I was joking. My response was supposed to be humorous, but he was very upset by it. He was like, wow, you didn't need to get so angry. So I don't know. I hope that's not gonna stick around. I really don't know what to think of it or what to do about it. I'm not in a bad mood. I don't feel angry, but the way that I speak suddenly just comes off as so aggressive or harsh. And sometimes I do get angry or feel angry, but it's more when I'm by myself. And I'm not speaking to anybody. So it's like, well, this would be a time when I could understand if I come off a little bit strong, but I just don't even know how to handle myself. I don't know what to do about that. I am a little bit worried about it, to be honest, because I have felt like I'm a little more moody, or if I get physically run down, I just don't have the energy to pretend I'm not feeling run down, I guess. So it's a good thing I work silently by myself and don't have to involve anyone else, because I think otherwise it'd be a problem. Not a lot, but it's happening. As an example of being angry personally and having mood swings, I figured I'd tell you guys about this, even though it felt kind of silly and embarrassing at the time, and I was like, no one needs to know that this happened. Oh, and side note, this also goes with anyone who has messaged me about things they've sent to my P.O. box. I actually can't access it right now because that road is being dug up. There was pipes being put in or something, but it was one way for a long time, and now you can't go down that road at all. So my post office is actually closed. It's a really tiny one that is only open for a limited time during the day anyway. So I'm thinking about moving my P.O. box to a main post office location. It's a little bit further away, but it's open later hours, and I certainly wouldn't have the problems that I've been having as far as construction is concerned. But there's also someone who works at that post office that I swear just hates me. She just doesn't like me. And she closed early the other day when she saw me walking up to the counter. So that was really, really frustrating. Oh my gosh, I was so upset about that. So I have not been able to pick anything up, so I'm really sorry. I'm not responding. I just haven't had anything, and I think I've gotten back to everyone who has asked, but just so you know. So that has been a major point of frustration in my life, because even though I don't work with anyone technically, I do depend on the post office. And I went to drop some things off there the other day and check my P.O. box, and when I went, the construction was so bad. I had to sit there for 12 minutes. I looked at the clock and we had to wait for a dump truck to back up. You don't even need to hear about it, but I was so frustrated and so angry that the woman who was working there closed. She slammed down the cage thing at the desk right in front of my face, even though she saw me coming. So I was so angry and so frustrated, and I got in my car and I was waiting for the dump truck. I could just feel the frustration building. I just felt my heart beating and I was so angry. I felt like it was justified, but I had nowhere to release the anger. And the radio was on, and I didn't like the song that was on, so I changed the station. And the very next station I changed to, I'm gonna cry just talking about it. The very next station I changed to was playing Isn't She Lovely by Stevie Wonder. And I just burst into tears. It was almost like, the universe telling me that nothing else matters and there's no reason to get upset about anything because everything's fine. Because I couldn't be happier. And it doesn't matter how rude someone is to me or how frustrating the traffic is. All of those things suddenly felt so stupid and trivial. And I cried my face off. Because I don't know if you know, but that song, Stevie Wonder wrote it for his daughter. I think her name's Aisha. He wrote it for her when she was born. Or about her. So... and it just made me cry. Luckily, the song was halfway through. I don't think I could have handled it if it had just started. It was almost over. But so my mood went from one thing to the other so rapidly, and I just cried. But music does that to me, I noticed. I don't really ever cry. I don't really ever feel strongly enough emotionally that I do cry unless I'm making a video and talking about how I feel, and that brings it up. But the other thing I've noticed is music really makes me emotional. So if I'm in the car and I'm driving somewhere and something comes on, it's never anything that specific and that, it's not like they're all songs about people's daughters, but just singing. I'll just be singing and like a split second flash will come through my brain thinking about like being in the kitchen and like doing the dishes and singing, like suddenly I'll see like a high chair next to me. And I'm not trying to think of those things. It's almost like my brain's like, this might happen someday. You'll be singing next to your child. And I'm not a good singer. It's not like that's something that I don't know if you're understanding me. Right, normal. I don't know. That's the kind of stuff that really hits me and really gets to me. And sometimes I just let it happen. Sometimes I just let myself cry and really, enjoy it. Enjoy all the emotion. And then other times I'm like, I can't do this right now. And I change the song or whatever it is. So, all right, trying to pull it together. Now that I'm looking at this list, a couple of these things aren't happening anymore, but they were happening in week 15. I was having just brief and not painful, but noticeable, like a stabbing pain in my vaginal walls. Like, I don't know, it almost felt like 3 little jabs or something, and it would go away, and I'd feel it maybe a few hours later. I looked it up, and people call it lightning crotch, but there's nothing else really more to it. It's just stretching. It's just my body moving around and doing what it needs to do. Another thing that I've noticed that week, but it doesn't really happen so much lately, but it comes and goes, is that I would feel something sort of like a tightness or a throbbing on my left side. I don't know if I've mentioned this or not. This has been going on through the entirety of my pregnancy, is I feel everything on my left side, sort of where my left ovary would be. I feel all of my stretching and pulling throbbing feelings, that all happens over there. But the baby herself, she's always on my right side, where my right ovary would be, at least whenever I've found her with the Doppler. And it had gotten to the point where I'm not using it as often anymore, but for a while I was doing it twice a day. And I would put the probe on my body right where I thought she'd be, and when I turned it on, it was instantly her heartbeat right there. I just found her right in the same spot every time. I know that will change, but it's funny to know that most of the actual feelings I am experiencing are just isolated to the left, where she never seems to be. I might have a cyst there. I know I've had some fibroids which were growing, which I haven't seen since my week 12 scan, but I don't know if that's normal or not. There might be some reason why I feel everything on that side, but I don't know. That was one thing that was happening. One thing I wanted to talk about as far as physical things was heavy breathing. This has to be the least attractive thing that I've encountered. I would put this on top above all, just for vanity purposes, I guess, because I'm a bigger girl, but above all other disgusting or strange, unattractive things that I've noticed, which I feel like I haven't dealt with that many of them. You might disagree, but I feel like I've had a really easy, smooth pregnancy. I barely have anything to complain about. I don't even feel that I do have anything to complain about. I'm just sharing with you what I've noticed. Absolutely nothing I've gone through has made me feel like this has been difficult in any way, and I enjoy every minute of it. So I just want to make sure that I'm clear about that. But I am breathing so heavily. It's so unattractive. And I only notice it when I'm editing my videos. You don't even see most of it. I'm cutting out these big heavy gasps, or if I'm just sort of adjusting my chair or adjusting the lighting before I start talking, I am breathing so heavily in all of those clips. I'd post one for you. Maybe I'll post one for you. It's so embarrassing. So I imagine I'm breathing like that all the time because I don't feel or think that I'm doing anything out of the ordinary when I'm filming. I do get a little bit more winded because I'm talking so much, and I don't talk this much ever. But seriously, that's gotta be one of the, I don't know, I think it's just because I'm such a heavy girl, I feel like it seems so much more pronounced and embarrassing. But I know there's nothing I can do about it. I need to breathe, right? We have decided, after a little bit of counseling from some friends, I'd like to thank Lisa for helping me really decide. We have decided that we're going to keep the name a secret until she's here. And I actually wanted to share it, but I've had a few people suggest otherwise, and I appreciate that because I can tell that one of the people I shared the name with so far doesn't like it, and I'm feeling very sensitive to that. And they didn't even say they didn't like it. I could just tell, and it really bothered me. So I'd rather not hear people's rude comments, and I've heard it. I've heard it all from other friends who've been pregnant and who have shared the names with people like their own mothers, and they've heard terrible feedback on it. I feel like it's such a personal and sensitive thing, and it's clearly something that's well thought out for a lot of people, something that they've planned for years even if they haven't had fertility problems. But you'll hear people's rude comments, and you probably will never forget them for the rest of your life. So I'm gonna just hope that that doesn't happen after the fact, and I'm going to try and keep her name a secret. And I say try because, I mean, yes, I've told a few people already, but I say try because my husband has a really hard time keeping secrets. If he buys me a gift for Christmas, I end up with it days after he purchased it instead of on Christmas. He blabbed the gender to his mother the day after we found out, and I wanted to have a very small, intimate gender reveal party for the grandparents, and he ruined that. So that's just, I mean, I love him. He can't, he's just excited, and he can't hold anything in. But he has been just incredible. I can tell, I can just see it all over him that he has this new sense of purpose and new light behind everything he does. I can also see the stress and the fear, just because of how much he cares. And I'm seeing all the things that were reasons why I wanted to make him a father so badly. I just feel like if any man that's ever lived deserves it, it's him. And it makes me so proud every day to know that we're that much closer to having that become a reality. He is so patient and so helpful, and he puts all of my needs first, even when it's not even necessary. And I just appreciate him so much. And I try and tell him, but he doesn't even care. This is just how he's not sacrificing anything in his mind. He's not changing anything. Nothing's a burden. This is all just his purpose. And it makes him feel whole and excited and happy. And it's not even worth thanking him for the way he sees it. And I try to as often as I can, especially on the days when I was a little bit less lovable, which, you know, I'm exaggerating slightly. I really don't think I've been that bad. He might tell you differently, but I'm just so proud to be his wife, and I'm so happy to be taking this next step with him. Because the truth is, and if you're struggling, and if you're hurting, I want you to hear this. This took us 10 years. But none of it feels like it matters anymore. All of that pain feels so quiet, and I'll never forget it. But it feels like it doesn't matter, and it was worth every minute of struggle. And I'll appreciate everything that much more for having been there. But it didn't ruin me. It made me more cautious. It made me scared. But I feel like that 10-year span was nothing, so long as we've gotten to this point. And I never thought I'd feel that way. So please don't ever give up. Ever. So this is really long now. I feel like all I've done is cry. But I wanted to show you a couple of purchases I made. I'll probably do a new baby buys video. And just show you some stuff. I was given a lot of hand-me-down clothes from my sister, and some hand-me-down toys and things from a friend of Mike's at work, and a lot of that stuff has been put away already. So otherwise I'd show it to you, but we'd be here for a week. There was seriously so much stuff. A lot of it I don't know if I'll ever get to use, just because of season and size appropriate times in my child's life versus other people's. I have no idea, and that's something that obviously nobody ever knows. But I have a decent stash of some things that were given to us when we were getting ready for our yard sale. And I found some of my old books that I have. I found out that I have a copy of Goodnight Moon, and I found an extra copy of Jim Jump that I didn't know I had because I actually purchased one. I can't remember what else right now for some reason, but I found a few of my old books, not necessarily from my childhood, but books that I've held on to. Some of them might be, I'm not sure. I purchased a couple as well, and some were for our baby girl, and the others were for me. So I went to the store to check out the books, and honestly, I didn't know what I wanted, but I wanted light reading, small amounts of reading to do at a time. I figured that this was a necessary component. I feel like everybody reads this. You don't get to have your baby unless you've read this, I think. I'm pretty sure. And this is the book that I had previously that I thought was bad luck, so I donated it. And for some reason, I didn't want to buy it again because I felt like it was bad luck and I don't want to have it, which is so stupid. But I've talked to you about that before. I have weird superstitions that I can't believe I even think up in the first place. But it kind of made me feel more comfortable that this is a newer edition and the cover is different now. So that made me feel more comfortable with purchasing it again. I haven't really read much of it at all. The problem with these books is some of them are so specific with the things that they discuss. It's like, I'm 17 and I have blonde hair and I'm having a baby. Why are my elbows dry? Like, it's, some of the things are so specific. So, which is fine, I don't mind it. Maybe it will help me at some point. But I did find this, which I had forgotten about. I think I learned about this from someone else's pregnancy updates. It might have been Lisa, Lisa Marie TTC. But I'm sure a lot of people, this book is awesome, so I'm sure a lot of people have discussed it before. But this is the pregnancy day by day, and it has a passage for every single day. You can tell it's been a few days since I read it, because I think I have 166 days left as of today, and I stopped looking there. But what I like to do, instead of reading a page every day, I find that I want more information once I get started. So I'll read, 3, 4, 5 pages at a time. But it is very, very interesting because it gives you a lot of information. Not all of it is necessarily tailored to that day specifically, but it's just nice to have information for just like a little blurb. Oh, another thing. I contacted a doula. That's something that was really important to me. I have to find out how many people are allowed to be in the room, because that will affect whether or not I have birth photos taken, because I definitely want Mike to be there, and I feel like I'm going to need a doula, and that's just something that I've always wanted to do. And then I want the birth photographer. Of course, I would be okay with my sister being there if she wanted to be, but I don't really want anybody else there otherwise. I want it to be a very limited number of people, and I feel like it's not anything that anybody needs to see happen live other than Mike. And that's why I kind of do like the idea of having the birth photographer, because I feel like there's a lot of it that I won't even remember myself, where there's aspects of it that I won't see the way that I would see them through photographs. And then I can also share those with the people who would have liked to be there, or for anyone who, just like you guys who wouldn't be there anyway, but I could share that with you, So that would mean a lot to me, but a doula I think is more important. So I'll have to find out if that's what the deal is with that. I'm especially looking forward to discussing things that I can do to improve my odds of breastfeeding with her, because as of this moment, I'm really nervous about that. I know that with PCOS, the odds of me being able to breastfeed for a length of time or at all are not good. So I'm worried about that. But if you've learned anything along the way, or if you were able to overcome that with PCOS, I would love to hear what your tips are. If there's anything you read or anything you did specifically. I know everybody's different, but I am desperate because that's something that really matters to me. So, but that's it. I think that is it now that I've talked forever. And I know you guys are so sweet and you don't mind the long updates, but I do mind having to edit them because it's a lot of time to have to spend with me. So, but that is it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.